Defenders and goalkeepers have to be perfect all the time. Yeah, I was absolutely very superstitious. It's not just about the football. He seems to take more risk. The young players give you more net profit when you sell them. I made the switch from Manchester United. And so David Moyes has found a really, really good sweet spot. It wouldn't surprise me in the least to see Jack Grealish. You might not have a lot to do in the game, that you have to constantly be communicating and constantly be sharp as a razor. In this landscape, I don't think so.
We're going to be talking soccer topics, Team USA, probably touch a little bit upon Premier League also. Does that sound good?
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Well, man, obviously you're one of the most respected goalkeepers of all time. So I want to ask you, what was the most difficult part about being a goalie? And I guess I'll ask you a question like, were you ever a superstitious type of player? Does luck play a little bit of a role in being a great goalie?
Yeah. Luck definitely plays a role. I was always superstitious, and I think when again, we'll also try and get that across to our partners and our fans, and understand what that preparation is like. Because when I look at the balance between the mental part of the game and you talk about superstition and preparation, I think I know what ends up happening is superstition in action then becomes preparation. And so the things that I would do prior to a game, whether that be night before a game, driving to the game, what I ate for my pregame meal, how I warmed up, how I taped my ankles and my fingers, that all was superstitious. And then what you then realize after the course of a few years is this is actually part of my preparation process. And so it's a unique little insight into mental fortitude and preparation. So yeah, I was absolutely very superstitious. What was the first part of your question? Sorry.
I guess what the first part of my question was, what's the most difficult part about being a goalie?
I think coming to grips with the fact that my daughter, for the best example, she's a striker and she's a collegiate striker, and I tell her, all you have to do is be perfect once, right? So you dig and you fight and you make it nasty and hard on the defenders, and all you got to do over the course of 90 minutes is be perfect once, right? And get a goal or an assist. Defenders and goalkeepers have to be perfect all the time. In order to have a good game, you can't let a goal in. You can't let one get past you. And so kind of understanding the mental side of it, and understanding that you might not have a lot to do in the game, that you have to constantly be communicating and constantly be sharp as a razor. That part is daunting. And I remember as a young goalkeeper, just being saying concentrate for 90 minutes is it's impossible. I don't know how to do that. And so I had good coaches that just said, look, get to halftime, right? Get yourself, don't worry about focus for 90 minutes, focus as long as you possibly can for the first half, right? And these little tools that ultimately gave me success, and I was able to completely focus for the entire game like it was in my sleep.
That's actually pretty interesting. That was great to hear. I want to kind of segue into the current Team USA. Obviously, they're about to do the Gold Cup. The World Cup is obviously the big one. I guess expectations for Team USA as they enter the World Cup. That's a year from now. What do they need to do to be better?
Currently a lot, because they're trending downward. But the togetherness that has always been a staple of the U.S. men's national team, kind of needs to come to the forefront. Results have to get better. Results just haven't been good, and ultimately teams are judged on performances and results. And so the Gold Cup is a really good opportunity for this group that's been put together to kind of show some of that fortitude. It's not just about the football. It's about coming together, showing toughness, being able to grind out results when needed, being able to carry games when you're in the ascendancy, you've scored the goals, and now you have to see games out. So there's a lot of boxes that need to be ticked, and not a lot of time to do it. So the Gold Cup's a good start. It's a great opportunity for the team to kind of show what they have. But then as you start to get into September and the autumn friendlies, and then the draw comes out in, I think December. And so you get a better idea of what that looks like tactically, again, who you're going to play against. So there's a long way to go, but it's going to happen in a very short period of time, if that makes sense. So the togetherness is something that I think all U.S. soccer fans want to see. The togetherness, the hunger, the fight. We know the talent is there. We've seen that. So our fingers are crossed.
No doubt about it. I want to actually touch upon the Premier League real quick. A couple former teams that you played for. So Manchester United, obviously with their number one goalkeeper situation with André Onana. Thoughts on that and what he can do to improve?
I think with Onana, it's been the consistency. He's shown flashes of brilliance, and then he's shown moments of kind of calamity, and I think what you see now, and this is what I noticed with him, and I noticed with other goalkeepers, but particularly with him, he doubles he doubles down when things aren't going well. He doubles down and takes more risk, and I think that's kind of opposite of what I've always seen to be successful. When things aren't going well, usually as a goalkeeper simplify things. He seems to take more risk. So yeah, it's an interesting pathway, not one that I certainly subscribe to, but he's full of confidence and believes in his own abilities. And so, I think with Ruben Amorim, as he builds this team, there's a lot of places that need improvement. I think the goalkeeper position there isn't one that is an immediate need for change. I think André Onana has the opportunity to continue to stake his claim as the number one. And I think he'll have an opportunity to do that in the coming year. So there's lots of changes that will need to happen at Manchester United in terms of improvement positionally, but goalkeeper isn't one that I would put I'd put it on the list, but I wouldn't put it at the top of the list.
Okay, fair enough. I want to segue into another player of Manchester United. So Alejandro Garnacho has been linked with a move away from the club. Do you think it would be a mistake to let him go so early in his career?
No, I don't. I think also when you look at PSR and net profit, unfortunately, that's playing a big deal, and those type of players, the young players, give you more net profit when you sell them, and that has to come into the equation. I know, years ago that would sound stupid, but that's actually the business of things now. So I don't think. I think he's had enough time under Ruben Amorim to kind of see that he is or isn't one of his players, or he is or isn't adapting to the style, the way that Amorim plays with a number 9 and then kind of 2 10s underneath tucked in tight. He doesn't really seem to be the type of player to fill that role. So if they can, and he's young and he's valuable, if they can get a good return for him, then you allow Ruben Amorim more money to go get the player that he wants to handpick and hand select. So I think that again, on one hand, going back a few years, everyone would think that was crazy to let a really young, good, talented player go. But in this landscape, I don't think so.
Okay, business as always. Fair enough. Last soccer-related question from me. There's speculation Everton could be interested in a potential loan deal for Jack Grealish. But what do you think about that potential fit?
It makes a lot of sense if you think about, if you go back to, it's one that I kind of thought about, and geographically speaking, Manchester, or where these players live in Cheshire, where I used to live, and so when you live in Cheshire, you're probably 35 minutes to the Everton training ground. And Phil Neville made the switch from Manchester United. I made the switch from Manchester United. Louis Saha did. Darren Gibson did. We've had a couple of loan players through the years. A Brazilian named Joe that was at Manchester City, and these were players that David Moyes brought in. And so David Moyes has found a really, really good sweet spot of getting players from Manchester City and Manchester United who may be or may not be surplus to requirements at those clubs, and bringing them across and giving them belief. And it wouldn't surprise me in the least to see Jack Grealish go to Everton. Everton's a big club. They're in a new stadium. The future is bright for them under David Moyes and the new ownership with the Freaking Group. Again, you don't have to uproot your family, which isn't a soccer thing, but it's a reality. Jack Grealish is settled there. He's from Birmingham again, so he even probably gets closer in terms of his family being able to go see games as well. So he can stay in Manchester and commute across, and that does play into the mind of footballers when they have young kids who are settled in school and things like that. So wouldn't surprise me.
Great analysis, Tim. Man, I appreciate the time that you took out for me today. Well, like I said, dude, thank you for taking the time out to speak to me today. We'll do this again sometime down the road.
Thank you, man. Look forward to it. Thanks, everybody.